All right, let's look at the bottom of the foot and see what all structures are involved there, why I was working on your ankle yesterday, things like that. So we talked a little bit about it, but I just wanted to show you in a recap. So where you have pain, Heidi, is kind of right on, let me tip this back up. So right here on your heel, your calcaneus, you were really tender actually right where your plantar fascia attaches, and then you were also pretty darn tender right smack dab in the middle. You also you were pretty much tender everywhere that you see some attachments going on. So you were tender around this inside part. Then when we went to the outside, you were tender out here also. And then some of these ligaments that I was working on you were also a little bit tender. So what I think is going on, I think when you hit, a couple things could have happened. You could have either significantly strained this fascia a little bit, or sprained, I guess you should say, because it's a little bit more like a ligament. But what this is this is what actually has to, when you're pushing off of your toes, it's what has to tense up and become kind of your lever to help push off of the toes. And yours is very sensitive. But if I remove that and you see these muscles that are underneath, there are a ton of little bitty bottom of the foot muscles. Okay, so this one over here pulls your pinky toe out. This guy is for your big toe. All of these are what end up curling your toes. And then if we look underneath this layer, you've got, let's see, let me take out, you got even more, okay? So this guy was also really tender on you. So what I want to do and why I have you doing the exercises that you are doing, I'm going to put some of your ligaments back on here, is I want to actually activate all of these little muscles underneath here. So when you're doing your heel raises going through your tippy toes, these have to fire to keep your toes straight. And I want to do that to just kind of help strengthen everything on the bottom of your foot and maybe take a little bit of pressure off of that plantar fascia that you saw a minute ago. Yeah, and we'll go even actually a little layer down here. So you got a lot of things going on, but this is actually called your long plantar ligament, and it also connects midfoot to your heel. So what could have happened? You could have jumped in and you could have actually put like a really quick stretch on these things, could have irritated it and almost given it a little bit of a tendonitis. You could have put a little crack in your heel bone. I don't think you, I say I don't think because it was in 4 feet of water. Theoretically, I wouldn't think that you would have cracked that, but if you have a little hairline fracture in here, that could be why it's so point tender. The other thing is if you just have a bone contusion, and that's a fancy name for a bone bruise, you can have a bruise right on it, and it is super stinking tender, and it unfortunately takes a while to heal and go away. You can eventually just get used to that discomfort, but just be aware that if it is a pretty hefty bone bruise, it can take a while. I had a bone bruise on my thigh bone when I messed up my knee a little bit, and it just took time. So the other place where you were starting to get swollen, like around here, your Achilles attaches in here. So that's why I worked on your calf quite a bit. And in your calf muscles, you've got the regular one that you are probably aware of, like the ball higher up. You also, underneath there, have your soleus muscle. That also works a little bit more on your seated calf raises because when your knee is bent, it takes out that bigger gastroc muscle. But the other thing I wanted to show you is I wanted to show you your lymphatic symptom or your system and why I'm talking about when you're putting lotion on, moving it towards your knee. So anything that's green right here is a lymph system, and what that means is it's moving fluid through your body. So kind of how we have your vascular system and your artery system, you have lymph systems. So if you look at the foot, there is quite a bit going on, and when there's any kind of swelling or irritation, you start to hold fluid. So when you're putting lotion on, I want you to really be conscious of moving from toes towards ankle, and then from ankle up, because you do have lymph nodes up in this area, which let me see if I can actually put your actual lymph nodes on here. Okay, so it should be, oh yeah, you don't need to know about all of this actually. Let's go back home. Let's just look at the full body. That was a zoomed in version of a lymph node. You don't need to see that. So if we just look at full body, when we start adding on, we might be able to get lymph nodes in here. Sorry. Well, just know, I don't think I have it on this model, that you have a large pocket, I'll put a picture in the email, of lymph nodes up here at your groin, and you have a large pocket of lymph drainage behind the knee. So think about pulling everything up and towards the back of your knee. Hopefully that was helpful.